Hello boys and girls, as I promised, part 2. As you see, I have not changed, but I have my coffee and the second part of my bounty bar. No, this video is not sponsored by anything, but this is the old school because there is nothing like a good old chocolate bar and some coffee after a good sweat. So in a nutshell, there are various ways to tackle the programming for Girevoy sport, and as there are obviously many type of athletes, lifters, novice, intermediate, advanced, there are people who are volume tolerating and there are people who are not tolerating high volume. And when I'm talking volume, I'm not talking about the intra session, meaning what you're going to do within the session, but the overall volume. So if you're familiar with good old quality powerlifting plans, you begin to see the similarities because, come on, we're talking weights here, we're just talking a different physiological mechanism. All right, the basic structure I'm using now is 3+1, which is 3 weeks of loading and 1 week of deload. Again, starting strengths, same template, because come on, we're talking the same body and the same physiology. Cheers. Now when you load, it goes like this: you begin and you peak, and you're longer, the more grueling set is the less set of your third week, and then you're off to deload. Now let's talk about deload. You know definition of what is vocation or resting is an activity different to a major activity, meaning that if you're sitting in the office, your vocation may be hiking, and hiking physiologically may be much grueling. It is much grueling than your office work. Same is for deload. Okay, deload is a practice. Okay, because some people think, oh, like it's my week off, I can do whatever, like, you know, I can take it, like, you take it easy, but I can eat shit, don't sleep, and, you know, do some other funky stuff like train and do, you know, like some PR powerlifting, whatever, pumping. No. Deloading is the most important week of your training, because based on this week, you're following 3 weeks and basically your whole process up to peaking to the event or competition or your goal number is resides on. So if you fuck up your deloading week, you're basically sabotaging the whole training process. All right. With this being said, okay, it's not necessarily have to be easy. So I have this week, my example, 3 12-minute session with double 12, 12 RPM, which is like super light. It's just flowing the body and greasing the groove of the neuromuscular pattern of the clean and jerk. Now I am training for a double kettlebell, double 16 marathon this November, 1 hour of continuous long cycle, clean and jerk. No putting the bells on the ground, no racking them on the shoulders, nothing. All right, I'm just standing there for an hour, hopefully, and then I must put the bells down when the clock rings, otherwise it's a disqualification, unlike in classic Girevoy sport. So I treat my deload weeks very seriously. Now let's go back to my previous video of my training. I did a session because I want to deconstruct and take you under a hood how I think about deload weeks and what I do and what I practice. So I did no shoes, as I said, no belt, no chalk, no wrist protectors for the bone, for the connect point, and no air conditioning. Now, to contextualize, I live in Israel, and a private house is a luxury here. Okay, unlike in US and Canada where it's more affordable, here is not. Okay, so it's apartment building, and I'm training in my living room. And AC wise, the Israeli weather, especially in summer, is about 80-85% humidity. So like I'm a fish, I have no air, and it's hot. So it's about like 30 plus Celsius degrees. So I'm sweating a lot. And this plays along with what I want to attend, because my goal in this session basically is not practicing obviously long cycle, because double 12s, with all due respect, okay, I can go like in a setup like easy for beyond 30 minutes. Okay, so it's not about the like muscular physiological excuse me endurance loading. However, because this is not a loading, I can use this set to focus, okay, to shift my attention to other stuff. Because when you're loaded, when you're working with your competition, this is what we call in GS, like the weight you're preparing for, we call it your competition weight, so it's easier for us to know which belts to take. Okay, so when I'm working with my competition belts, I have no luxury, okay, like a depleting soldier into the hotspot. I have no luxury to shift my focus to anything but the bells, the breathing, and the sharp like key points in technique. Okay, nothing. It's a like zeroing laser focus, because this is about survival, all right? But with lightweights, I can like play and shuffle. It's like taking a road trip on the bus where you have a driver and you can just, window gazing and admiring the nature and the mountains and the beautiful blue views and stuff. So why I did what I did? First of all, skin conditioning. No chalk is skin conditioning. Your palms are getting wet. Now the load is light enough and not to stress your palm or create tears, skin tears, which will sabotage my following 3 weeks, and I don't want that. I don't have the time nor that luxury. I've done my stupid things way before. But it stresses the skin, so skin knows how to adapt and how to respond when it's getting wet and sticky, because the handle's getting wet too and it begins to stick to the skin. Second part, when the skin is getting sticky, your technique, your hand transition, how you take the arms off the handles and how you re-grab the handle on your fingers, okay, and how you lead to the clean and how you swing, how you insert the arms, everything becomes as if you're like, you have a clear sky and night sky and there is no light pollution and you can see the distant galaxies. This is what it feels like. Okay, you really feel what you need to do and how you need to transition. And since we are talking about motor learning, the brain and the nervous system don't really care whether I'm doing it with 12 or with 16 with chalk, because this pattern will stick. All right, so twice my gain: skin conditioning, better transition. Second, since the bells are slippery and heavy and I still need to grab them more tightly and more focused, I'm working my forearms. So by the end of 12 minutes today, my forearms felt like they felt at about, 20 minutes with 16s. So I was able to imitate the stress, and the moment you imitate the stress, we are kicking in the adaptation cycle, okay? And this is what we want for my forearm, okay? For my grip, for my flexors, to drive, to hold the bell, but not getting to the fatigue, right? Moving on. No wrist protectors. Now, this is, so like we have a bone structure, you have the radius and the ulna, and like somewhere in the middle bell falls, and this part is getting adapted. Okay, but when the volume is too high and it's still iron that presses against the bone, you can have like sometimes cysts, sometimes some minor inflammation, sometimes stress. With this being said, there is a magic spot that where if the bell sits there and it's connected to your transition, okay, to your hand transition, you don't feel it. Okay, it's like really doing inches here, okay, like an inch to the right, an inch to the left, middle. Like I can do it for hours because like I don't have this burning sensation. And since we're talking about nerves that going to the fingers, if the stress is too high and your fingers getting numbed, that's it, your set is done, because your grip are gone, merely neurologically, not stress wise. Okay, you press the nerves, done, your set is done. Okay, and like you won't handle it. Like you're lucky if it happens like last 5 minutes, then you can really grind it and just basically stand in the rack position and like really fight for it. But if it happens on the minute 30 and you have another 30 minutes to go, it won't happen. Okay, so working without a lightweight, no wrist protector, again, my pure gain, because it's not heavy enough to really bang and produce the stress, because I'm on my deloading week. My goal is to deload, my goal is to rest. So physiologically, my body, I'm basically nothing, you know, like I'm just wasted a good t-shirt for a sweat, right? I really did nothing. However, physiologically. But working with the 12, which is light, I really felt, because when it hits the sensitive point, it hurts. Okay, even if it's 8 kilo, it still hurt. So it allows me, without overstressing, to find, okay, this sweet spot of the hand insertion and to place the bell exactly where needed to be. Now the beauty of competition bells, they're the same size, okay, it's the same volume, so I don't care whether it's 12 or 24, because it will hit the same spot. Okay, obviously the overall stress from 44 to 24 is different. This is why and where coaches come in to build this progress, not to overstrain, because it's not only your body but your skin and your forearm and your nervous system in the arm that must be adapted. Okay, and it takes time and it takes with smart programming. So again, what I did, I practiced, okay, the sweet spot transition, okay, inserting my arm more precisely so the bell won't hit. Now, in long sets, it's inevitable because you're getting tired. But the longer I can pull this perfect hand insertion, perfect transition, okay, to the later point where I'm like fatigued, tired, and I kind of begin to miss it, because eventually you will. Okay, it's inevitable. It's my gain. All right, so I'm practicing my forearm, my bone density, and my sweet spot transition. And I believe we're covered everything that is about the arms. Now let's shift and talk about the belt. As you know, in Girevoy sport, like, come on, belt doesn't hold anything for nobody, okay? It doesn't hold your spine. It helps you to engage your transversus abdominis. It helps you to brace better, because if you feel that you're pushing against the belt, you're doing it right. If you're not, okay, there's this herniation coming your way, probably, or some other unfortunate injury. In Girevoy sport, we are racking the bells directly over our hips, so there is no much stress on our spine. And bell basically holds nothing, unless you are a lightweight lifter that works with 32s. Then you need the belt and the bracing. But then again, if you are that athlete, first, I'm very humble you're watching my video, and second, you already know how to work and how to do it with the belt. For marathon sets, For lighter sets, the bell is more to placing the elbows to get really comfortable in the rack position, and no belt is a psychological adaptation, because first of all, shirt gets wet, okay, so your elbows sliding to the side. With the belt I can slide my elbows down and lean them on the belt, and it's allowed in the competitions. Okay, you can place your elbows on a belt to support them, it's fine. No belt, it's like, oh shit, like I'm beginning to move my hand slide, and you're bleeding force, because every movement, okay, micro movement that you do to readjust your hands, it's your anterior deltoid that moves your arm, and it's the same anterior deltoid that is engaged in the jerk. Okay, even if your jerk is perfect, okay, and you're like locking down underneath the belt, this area and the delts are still working. So when you're moving constantly in the rack position, and you have double, because I have clean that I need to adjust, and then I have the drop that I need to adjust. Okay, so I'm basically doing twice pace in long cycle. Okay, it's like if I'm going 10 repetitions per minute in the long cycle, it's 2 movements. It's clean jerk is kinda like doing a 20-minute tempo jerk, and I'm talking about this racking mechanism. Okay, so no belt gives you the feeling of familiarity and the thing that, all right, like it's fine, okay, it's slippery a little bit, I can find and how like dig my elbows in, and that's it. Because guess what, sometimes you rush to the stage and you're forgetting the belt, and there is no turning back, and sometimes like this is what you have, and the clock goes 3, 2, 1, start, and you need to perform because shit happens. So you'd better practice the shit that might happen, all right? And like bell might go off, and it happens too, because like humans, everything's wear off. Second is basically hinging. Okay, I can move my spine without the belt, without it being like locked or like sustained in some position, because belt does, like it prevents some spinal movement, so I can really work my hinge, I can really give my muscles less of a tension, because again, okay, it's not that heavy, but I'm flushing blood, a lot of blood, because it's a lot of movement. Okay, and this is training the erectors, the spinal erectors, endurance wise. Okay, not strength wise like powerlifting for 3-5 reps, but endurance wise. I move from my hips, I push with my legs, and my spine just sustains this along with the rectus abdominis muscle. It sustains this neutral position where my rib and my diaphragm are above my pelvic floor. Okay, so I have this perfect alignment, and then I'm just shifting up, like hinging up and down, and okay, like practicing really working my core muscles to support me and to sustain me more with my working sets, especially at the later minutes. Okay, like at the end of the set, because at the end of the set everything begins to fall apart because you are exhausted. Okay, like at the end of the marathon, like at the end of any event. Okay, this is why we practice so to keep the perfect technique, as to stretch it as far as we can, so the margin where we go off and break the technique getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. All right, bell is covered, no AC. First of all, I had my student going to the championship this summer, and he wrote me like, coach, we've practiced one, and then I came there and there was no air conditioning. It was hot as hell. So he did what he needed to do he took the pace down, but he needed to cope with something he never coped before. Okay, because it's two different things, running or doing kettlebell with the AC, where the temperature is cooler and your heat transition is better, or you just standing, like, you know, working out in sauna, and this heat accumulating, and when the heat accumulates and the heat transition is off, basically, guess what? Your heart rate begins to rush. So you need to understand how to work with that too and pace yourself. Now, in my case, working in this condition allowed me, like, it's less because again I live in Israel, I'm kind of accustomed to this weather, but it allowed me to, without stressing my system, okay, like without really stressing my aerobic system, to elevate my heart to 25 beats, like it's 150 beats per minute, which is the heart rate I recently did 21 minutes of kettlebell. So basically it's my working, like, quote unquote competitive heart rate. Okay, so instead of really going like 130, which is really nothing, I was able to take lightweight and to imitate the heart rate, to imitate this point when you're getting close to your anaerobic threshold without actually getting there. So again, it's less aerobically, although if you're not trained and if you're not running and like doing other stuff, because I do triathlon, so I constantly practice this like heart rate and aerobic stuff. So again, for me personally, it's less of an issue, but for somebody who's not that invested in aerobic activity, it is. For me and for everybody else, this is the perfect timing to train the psychological sensation. Because when you're getting to this threshold, you are getting scared, okay, and you are getting panicked. It's like you have a silk rope around your neck, and you slowly somebody begin to pull it and begin to strangle you, and you're like, and you're losing your shit completely. Now, when you practice this threshold with lightweight, because where you know, okay, like consciously understand it, is lightweight, is nothing, I'm able to finish it regardless, no time. It like breaks this panic, so you can observe it, and it allows you the ability to really getting used to it, like really practicing the sensation where you're like, oh my god, oh fuck, like that's it, I'm done, come on, cool, right, like chill man, it's fine, like do another rep, you see, nothing changes the score, it's okay, you're cool, okay, let's keep working, okay, the clock is ticking, everything is fine, right? Because it's really easy to, okay, panic. When you panic, your heart rate rushing up, and when you does, then it's almost impossible to take it down, because you are standing with ragged bells and your muscles, the body is always working constantly, and there is a demand for oxygen. So if you're panicking and your heart rate went up above, it's almost a like athletic suicide on platform. Okay, it's really, really like hard to drive, and even if you do, like you've sabotaged your performance, because you could have done better than this one. All right, so working in this like harsh environment, it really saves you the not saves you, it allows you to psychologically adapt for this, you know, sensation that will hit you. Trust me, they will hit you one point or another, regardless whether you do 10-minute set or 1 hour set. All right, and lastly, let's talk about shoes. So the shoes is really arousing and allowing your foot to work and to engage, because where we're working in weightlifting shoes, our heel is elevated, our pelvis is a little bit shifted, so is the different stress distribution between the Achilles tendon and the quadriceps muscles, okay? And it's easier to stand in rack and decompress the spine. Here, however, I can practice my system raw and like again, letting my foot muscles, which are the most like very important one, because this is the only place I really push myself when I go on this acceleration phase and I go on the tiptoes. It's really allowing myself learning how to spread the toes, all right, like spreading the foot, how to push from the big toe, okay, because usually when we do our sets, if you're not aware, please be, when you're standing, usually when we go on our toes, we are shifting to the outer edge of our foot, okay, where a pinky is, and like the toes are slightly, like if not elevated, they're working less. And when they work less, the force distribution is different. The calf muscles begin to work over time because they're lacking strength from a big toe of your foot, which is a really hard, like the strongest, okay, like the palm, the strongest muscle in our feet that really produces force, and your foot cannot work like a canopy, okay, because it's not a bridge, all right? It's not only a bridge, like all the foot fascia, okay, the plantar fascia, it works like canopy. Now, if you want to see how the foot really is supposed to work, watch the first Terminator or the second one. You have this scene where the T-1000, the robots walk on the human skulls, and you see like really this foot elevated, like, all right, okay, getting flat. So this is our canopy foot muscles, and you really want, when you're working barefoot, you are spreading the toes, you can really feel, okay, the big toe of the foot, okay, like pressing the floor, and you're going, okay, like you're producing the maximum force with maximum efficiency, okay, and you go up and down, and it's conditioning the Achilles tendon, it's conditioning all the stabilizing muscles around your ankle and around the foot, because some of these muscles are like they're not shut off, but they're working less due to the weightlifting shoe that really hugs, okay, the foot and provides wider surface and more stability, okay. So these are all advantages that I was able, okay, to work at the same time while doing my deloading week, and I have 2 more sessions left, so my next focus may be different, and I can allow myself to plane shift focus again because there is no stress, okay. I can allow myself like I'm being driven by a driver, me sitting in the passenger seat. I have the luxury to shift my focus and to address any other issues, be it thoracic extensions, scapular depressions, whatever. So like this is it, this is the thinking behind. So the first 3 weeks when you're loading, you don't do anything but your core lifts, where you really focus on the lift, the mindset, the technique, everything as if you're on a platform. After a peak, you use your deload, okay, to practice, to flesh out, to neurologically connect, okay, building stronger connections, okay, neurological, perfecting, polishing technique, seeing where you're getting off, because what happens with your lightweight happens with the competition weight, okay, because technique is technique, okay, neurological drive is neurological drive. By the way, this is the reason why weightlifters, Soviet weightlifters, still and was practicing with a wooden dowel, because it doesn't make any difference whether you're doing snatch with wooden dowel or 200 kilos above your head, okay. If it dowels, like, it must be exactly the same. So same is true for Girevoy sport. Thank you for staying with me, for tuning in, and hope I've contributed and you've learned much. This is the Girevoy Sport Education channel. So if you're interested in this wonderful discipline, subscribe, keep watching, follow, and feel free to ask me any question regarding programming, progress, technique, or any other issues. So I'll see you in the next, and I promise shorter videos. Take care.